Now, don't forget, we're doing a live client-only event in mid-October 2022. I'll be speaking. Ryan Griggs will be speaking. Dr. Paul Cleveland will be speaking. Our whole team will be there. You're going to have the opportunity to meet all of us, and you'll have the opportunity to meet other people, individuals that are practicing the infinite banking concept from all over the country. Iron sharpens iron, so you should be there. It'll be worth it. Look forward to meeting you. Look forward to seeing you. Be there. Be square. In this episode, my friend Paul Horsley sits down and shares with us their experience with the infinite banking concept, and then he discusses the yield curve that never inverts. I had fun, and I hope you enjoyed listening. Thank you. Welcome to the Banking with Life podcast. I'm your host, James Neathery. And listen, I'm always excited to have people in the studio, and I'm really excited to have my friend Paul. Now, Paul, we've been friends, I don't really know how many years, several years. He's a Nelson Nash Institute practitioner and a pilot, just an all-around good guy, married to his lovely wife, Michelle. He's Michelle's husband.
Yes, I am.
No, he's a great guy. Look, he's in town, doing some kind of undercover operation. So in between these operations, he agreed to share his time with us. So thank you very much for coming down here, Paul.
I have to say, it's my pleasure to come to the King's Kingdom. This is an awesome opportunity, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. But stop it. Listen, we went to dinner last night. We had a great time, and I've kind of been looking forward to you coming to town, and sitting down with us. So what I'd like to do is just you share with me, us, right? The whole, just from the genesis, how did you discover the infinite banking concept? All these mind blowing, moments that you must have had. Because
I'd love to. It's an amazing story, and it's probably you would have something similar. In the late 2000s, and as he said, I flew for a major airline, and I just retired, actually, 30 years of that. And in the late 2000s,
not even that old.
Oh, I know, I'm not that old, but it's all good. So about 2008, 2009, the airline that I was flying with went into bankruptcy. And shortly after that, it merged with another airline. And so anybody familiar with the industry would probably know the airlines that we're talking about. But having said that, when the bankruptcy reorganization was completed, my pension was gone for the most part.
Didn't the PBGC step in?
Well, it did, but it reallocated the funds quite substantially, so there's not a lot left over after the...
Well, everybody was in line, all the creditors were in line.
Imagine that.
Not you guys that put 30 years in.
I know, it's just hard to believe. And, I just have to say that it was a big learning experience.
You shouldn't have been surprised, because that wasn't the first bankruptcy in the airlines industry.
No, but it was mine. And when it's yours and it's you, listen, it gets real. And it does. And there was a lot of money lost because Michelle, my wife, was also a pilot for us. And, that's two incomes. And then things really started to, get very interesting. And so when your pension goes away that you were relying on, along with, your 401k, you're in the system, you don't know any better. You're just falling in line like everybody else does and going down that road. So we were reading a lot of financial books throughout the 2000s, doing some real estate investing. We were pretty successful with that off and on throughout the whole 2000s. And then the crash happened, and then the airlines went bankrupt, and then they came back together, merged, and then no pension. And then about a year or so later, a really good friend of mine stopped me and said, I understand your pain. Why don't you come over and spend some time with me, you and Michelle? And that's what we did one afternoon. And that was the afternoon that changed everything. That's the afternoon that we were introduced to infinite banking. And I use the analogy that like this. We spent 4 hours with this friend of ours. And it was like a minnow getting impregnated by a whale sperm. It was unbelievable. It just like shocked us, and we're like, how come we never ever heard of this before? And we'd been around. I mean, we weren't uneducated, and we're always open and looking. And then this came, and it was like, what is this? So we spent the next few months, kind of diving into it, and we just followed his path, and he turned us on to a practitioner of sorts, and then we trusted our friend implicitly, and we just took off. And
that
it was exciting.
Before the Nelson Nash Institute.
Yes.
So.
Yep. And so I started telling, it's like when you get saved, you just start telling everybody. Yeah. And when I saw this, I started telling everybody, but I was educating myself as I was telling and sharing, right?
Yep.
And we bought a couple policies, and we didn't really have a good handle on what we had. The person that was educating us really wasn't coming completely clean on how all the pieces work, although it was legit, but it wasn't like I could fully understand it. So we spent a lot of time doing that. And then when we really did, like about 18 months to 24 months into this, it took us about that long to really start feeling comfortable. And I was sharing it with everybody, and I thought, wow, this is so cool. I should maybe become a practitioner.
You could do better than him.
I could be. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying that's what you thought. If he wasn't, sharing enough, that you could do a better job of sharing.
And this is, fast forward to today, and I can assure you, this is the premier investment or financial tool, I guess would be a better way to put it, that anybody could ever have, bar none. It's in a class by itself. It takes you. If you're frustrated with the system, it extracts you from the system as much as you want, and it allows you to, dip your toe into the system as much as you want throughout your life. The flexibility is just amazing. Yeah. So after that, I found Nelson, and Michelle and I flew down and met him. And then he had an aviation background too, so we became instant,
Yeah, y'all hit it off.
Best friends, and it was just amazing. What a ride. He was such a joy until he graduated, and I know that I'm going to get to see him again, and we're going to get to spend eternity together, and it's going to be awesome, James too. So, and that's how I met James, and, it was kind of like the two best in the whole industry was Nelson and James. And
cool.
And James was kind enough to, befriend me in the early days. I mean, he was very easy to talk to, and you were. It was awesome. I mean, I felt like an old friend. And every time I see you, although it's not very often, it's like a kindred relationship. It's awesome. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate it. I remember meeting you because it was at a Nelson Nash think tank symposium, and I don't remember what year it was though. But Nelson and I were out talking about the coffee, and you come sauntering up, and
little green around a collar.
Yeah, a little green.
Looking for a friend.
Yeah. And then I've seen you semi-regularly since then at all the think tanks, and then other trips and stuff. Actually, my friend Paul invited myself and my son Jake to go pheasant hunting last year, and I've never been pheasant hunting. I live in Texas. I live in north central Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth, and we don't have pheasants here. You have to go up into the Panhandle, and about halfway up the Panhandle, along about Tulia and north, there are pheasants. So I didn't grow up hunting pheasants. That was on my bucket list. And I don't know how it came about, but you offered, and I'm like, yes, thank you very much. And had a great time and met some of the young men that you had introduced to the infinite banking concept.
Yeah.
And some other guys. I think they were all.
Everybody there was in the circle.
Yeah.
Either a client or a producer or a potential client.
Yeah. It was fun. And so I'm looking forward to going again.
Yeah, we had a great time.
I had one gun I had never shot before, and I took two, but I didn't take two out into the field. And the one I did take into the field was the one I'd never shot or rarely shot, and it jammed. And this man gives me his over and under, nice gun. So he's not hunting that day because, my guns, the springs are exploding all over the field. So I was able to outshoot him.
Listen, he showed up with his son Jake, and I had never seen him shoot before, and we were all out just practicing with some clay pigeons, and he rolls in with his 6 guns, so to speak, and Jake does too, and they practice a lot, and they're really good shots.
Well, thank you. He's really good himself. But that was very cool. We limited out every day. So
yeah.
Can you do that twice a day? I mean,
maybe buy a couple licenses. I don't know. Maybe change your name.
Okay, so the early 2000s.
Yes.
You and your wife, y'all are buying policies. You're learning, and you think you could do a better job, maybe educating others.
Yes.
And so you started doing that, and you really do have a heart to help people. I mean, you really do. So I could see that as completely natural. So how'd that go for you? I know you got to meet
Nelson.
Great.
It went great. Before I went to Nelson, I was feeding this other guy a ton of business, and I'm like, I think I'm thinking of doing something wrong here. I should probably be, work on this whole practitioner thing. So I started researching it and dove into it, and then I started. I aligned myself with. A couple of companies, and it was all, history from there. So I just kept on sharing, and those people referred people back to me, and it was really cool. I mean, it really is a people to people kind of, you have to be, what's Nelson always say? It's not learned.
He said it's caught more than taught.
It's caught more than it's learned, and it totally is caught. It's you're talking, and people either pick it up or they don't. And I always say to my folks and other practitioners, I'm only looking for the ones that are looking for me, and really, truly, that's the way it is. So,
I discovered for myself, sometimes I'm the slowest learner. The slowest guy on the block, but like with this podcast, this channel. There's no agenda other than, putting forth the idea that you can become your own banker. You can control the banking function at the you and me level, and sell books, lots of books. Now, I write a lot of life insurance, don't misunderstand me, but I also buy a lot of life insurance. Yep. But this, the truth is the truth is the truth, period. You can't make it look better. You can't, you can fight against it. You can do all that you want, but the truth is the truth. And I have found that the truth either attracts or repels, and it's the same here on this spot. Either people are attracted or repelled. And you know what? Oh my gosh, how that makes my jobs, my life, my daily activity so much more pleasant.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that attractive. I mean, if you would come on here more often, you could bring the aesthetics up. Okay, so I'm saying the truth, the message attracts or repels. If you can't get past the word life insurance, you're down the road.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And
I use the term cognitive dissonance. That's a big term. If you don't know what it means, it's just that, I guess in a nutshell, you just don't want to hear about whatever it is that is trying to be stated. You just don't want to hear it because you don't want to let go of what you know. And that is huge. It's kind of like Ed Deming's, it was, you've got the arrival syndrome. And there are a lot of people out there that just have it and don't want to take the next step. They already know everything, don't need to know anything else. And you know what? Those are not the droids I'm looking for. And I would imagine you'd probably say the same thing. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you can't teach a man anything who already knows everything.
But listen, if you're watching this, and I'm guessing you are or listening, this is the king, and I mean he is the guy that you want to engage with.
Stop it,
amazing
Paul. Stop
stuff.
It. Quit it. Thank you.
It's true. It's true. Everybody goes to you for, the wisdom that you carry. I mean, you had a similar experience as I did in the beginning, right? When you were, your story is out there, and it's like, what? I called up Nelson. What?
Yeah.
Is this real? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's out there.
Shoot.
And when
be open.
I think it was 2004, 5, somewhere around there. But and I don't know, 3rd edition, 4th edition. I don't remember what edition of the book, Becoming Your Own Banker. But his face was on there. His face was on the cover. Now it's on the backside, a little video photo on the backside. But and I bought that book. I was at a 2-day seminar event, for agents, advisors, and just, trying to learn, be better, improve. They were all sharing their best practices, and there's some marketing things in there, no question. Different companies and different producers, and I bought all the books that were referenced, and his was one of them. And so when I finally got around to reading it, it's just I was beyond mad. I was angry.
It changed everything for you, didn't it?
Yes. Yeah. 14 years in the life insurance business, $1 million roundtable producer. I was making an effort.
Yeah.
I was trying to do better so I could be better and so I could provide a better service. And, and then your whole paradigm is blown. Talk about cognitive dissonance. You're like, oh my gosh. But I was okay. I'm okay to be challenged today in my thinking on most things. When it comes to my foundational personal philosophy and my faith, I'm not really interested in being challenged.
Yep.
I can still improve. Don't misunderstand me.
Right.
But, man, when I read that, it did change everything. I called the number on the back. He answered.
Just like
Southern
that.
gentleman.
Just like that.
Yeah. In his latter years, I would talk to people, and they're like, you talk to Nelson? I'm like, yeah, you can, why don't you email him? He answers his emails. I wouldn't give his phone number away, but, call David and get it from him. Mm-hmm. And they're like, no, I couldn't do that. I'm like, he got up every morning. He answered emails for an hour and a half.
He puts pants on like you.
Huh?
He puts pants on like you.
Exactly.
Just do it.
He's a great guy. God. And he would talk to him.
People that don't do that just miss opportunities.
Yeah.
To improve themselves one way or the other.
Yep.
The number one question I get from almost everybody, so that I've never met before, is this, and it's, how come I've never heard of this before? Yeah. How come I've never heard of this before? Well, how many other things have you not heard of before? Which is bigger, the bucket of things that you know or the bucket of things that you don't know? Think about that and just go from there.
Yeah. That reminds me, I wish I had coins. A long time ago, Nelson said, okay, we're sitting at a round table, and he said, no, imagine this. He would put down a dime. He said, now let's just imagine that all of that dime represented all of your knowledge. I'm like, okay. And then if you're a student and a good student, you doubled your knowledge, and he put down a nickel and then a quarter. And he's like, you're looking at a quarter on a big round table. And he said, no, that edge is the limit of your knowledge. And if this table represents a knowledge, what you don't know, it kind of puts it into perspective. You can double your knowledge and double your knowledge and and there's still such knowledge, so much out there that you don't know. You have no idea what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
You don't. You can't.
Nope.
Right. So, the clock's ticking. It's okay to pick up a book. It's okay to go on Audible. And by the way, Nelson's Becoming Your Own Banker book is available on Audible.
Yes, it is.
Although the chapters don't match up with the Becoming Your Own Banker. And, when it was already out a couple of months when I heard that it was out, and, man, post-haste, man, I went right away and got it. And I'm all excited because that's all I do is listen, right? If I'm not reading, I'm listening. And it was great. I was very appreciative that it was available, but I was so disappointed that didn't hear Nelson's voice.
Yeah.
Narrating the book. And the narrator did a great job, and I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't even really thinking about it until I listened to it, and I'm like, oh, it's not Nelson. But I've listened to it several times, and I appreciate it being available. So,
speaking of that, I still have probably, 8 or 10 voicemails from him on my phone that I'll never erase. It's so
I know that's crazy.
Amazing. Yeah, Paul with his little
I'm
Alabama
just
accent.
pulling out my little cell phone and going to the favorites list. And I'm not going to take it off.
Yep.
And I have a lot of messages too.
Yes. It's very comforting for me to hear that voice. And we're getting sentimental here, but that's okay.
If you knew him, you would too.
Yeah. And you know what? That's the way I feel about you too, though. But
well, thank you.
So let me just go full circle on this deal when we
knowledge.
Yeah, talk about that number one question that I always get. Why is it I've never heard about it? And the answer is like this. You're in the system today. Not this system, probably, but if you're new to this podcast, the question was, why haven't I heard about this before? The answer is, why would the system tell you about something that they didn't have any control over? Right? So if they made money on you coming and going, where you took all the risk and they took none, and they said, hey, here's a piece of paper, your 401k. Why don't you just sign here and we'll just take a deduction out of your paycheck for the next X number of years until you're ready to retire. And then, you know what? Then you can pay tax on it as you pull it out instead of right now. Doesn't that sound like a good plan? And everybody signs up for it. Everybody signs up for it. They don't even question it because guess why? There's a line of people right behind them that are going to do the same thing and the people in front of them. And it's like, but when you walk through this door and you see that you can give all of that risk to the other side, and you have no risk in this, and you have all of the available cash value going forward in time. And, if you follow the Nelson Nash practitioner infinite banking way, you have an extreme tax advantage on this deal. You have a yield curve that never inverts on its growth, and the cash value is constantly chasing the death benefit. And I may be talking over some of your heads, but the more you study this, the more you're going to see how incredible this tool is, just how incredible. So,
the smartest listeners on YouTube are just on the other side of that.
They're listening to you every week, and that's why I'm here. I'm so proud to be with this guy. Honest to goodness, I am not blowing smoke. He is amazing, and he's a gentleman too. He's Texan.
Thanks. Like, he showed up, and now you've seen my jacket, and he's like, you didn't say there was going to be video. I'm like, I thought you listened to the podcast. That's exactly what I do. I listen. I don't watch it. And I'm like, oh, okay.
There are those, I have several people that I follow, and he's right there on the top of the list. So,
So look, what, going through the real estate that y'all did kind of well on, right? In the 90s.
Yep.
And then I can't imagine, and I didn't even know Michelle was a pilot until I read your book. So I didn't even know. And then, now you have 2 pensions that are shredded. Because the PBGC limits what limits the benefit of a retirement plan that they have to step in and insure with money they don't have. Okay, because I won't go down that rabbit hole. But it's a pension, PBGC, it's a Pension Guarantee Association. All right, so you did and you can interrupt anytime, but you had success. You culminate into retirement, your pensions get shredded, and the market corrects.
Yep.
I mean, if that doesn't get your attention, I don't know what would.
Yeah. It was a party. Not a good one. I'm dead serious on that. It was a blessing. I mean, I know the good Lord was watching over us on this deal. I mean, I wouldn't be sitting here today if it weren't for him. I look back often at the trail to get where I am today, sitting at this table with this guy. It was amazing, and I'm so thankful for it. I mean, we use our infinite banking policies, and there's not a day that we don't have something engaged with them. We don't let them, sit there idle. I mean, that would be ridiculous, and it would be against the whole process if you're doing this according to how we all, teach it.
Yeah, well, you didn't retire and quit spending money.
No.
Quit making purchases.
No.
So
Yeah, I mean,
you didn't quit financing is my point. So
yeah, either you're paying somebody interest or you're getting it. I mean, I like getting it better than paying it.
Right. Were y'all in a hole that you had to dig out of, or
No. I mean,
it's just less comfortable than you might have.
Well, it was a
otherwise would have been?
projection. It was looking down the road. It was like, okay, so we have X number of years left. We need to thoughtfully go down this road and figure this out. And so, I mean, you either have the system the way it's set up that you know about, or you have this one. And this one has all the options that you ever want to you ever want to use. I mean, cash is king, right?
Yes, sir.
And you never know when you're going to graduate. So it's like it's the best of both systems.
It's I don't remember the statistics, but 1 out of 100 men die before they're 20. 2 or 3 out of 100 die before they're 40, and 10 die, 15 die before they're 65. That's 100% of the people that die. Period. Either you're going to die before 65 or after.
Yep.
And this whole idea of buying term or becoming self-insured or putting your money into the markets or wherever, and you're gonna that pile of money is gonna outgrow your need for a death benefit is so short-sighted. It's like, okay, and I get the internal rate of return that we're all struggling to get and to go find. We have to focus on the rate of return because we want to outpace inflation and taxation and all that. Well, how are you going to do that in the next generation? If you've eaten all that down or most of it down in retirement, whatever you've, managed to accumulate and keep in spite of Uncle Guido and his ways of, shredding your purchasing power. My whole point here is, can you do that? Can you go buy term? Sure, you can do whatever you want. Mm-hmm. But whenever you look at the characteristics of life insurance without diminishing the death benefit, which I believe in the infinite banking footprint is overly diminished sometimes, the value, the death benefit, right? But, when I die, when I graduate, I want, and it's like everybody else, everything that we don't spend, use, or give away, you're leaving to someone else, and it should be your people. Yep. Okay. Do you want to leave them a lot or little? That really speaks to your character almost in the 100%. Nature of your person.
Yes.
You love these people, or is it in word only?
Yes.
And love is an action word. So I'm just saying that the death benefit is legitimate. It's needed, even if, of course, it's not for you, right? It's a death benefit. It pays out. But then you couple that with the high cash value that you give away, use, do whatever it is. And I'm talking about later years in retirement. It's like you compare that to whatever it is you're doing. And with an honest, legitimate, open predisposition, not having your mind made up before you already, investigate, it's pretty tough to beat. It's very tough to beat.
I think it's impossible, right? Isn't that the word I'm looking for? Impossible?
Maybe. Yeah, it's fair.
Oh, well, if
we can all get lucky. Like we can go to Las Vegas and we can get lucky.
Yeah, but that's the gamble again.
Right.
It's like Wall Street.
But
Vegas and Wall Street, same thing. You just don't know it.
It's possible, but it's not probable.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
And then look, you know what the difference between Wall Street and Las Vegas really is? One's in the desert. I mean, come on.
That's so true. One's in the desert. I love it.
And the other's a swamp, right?
Yes. The cesspool. Oh, so if you're living in New York, wait, were you talking about New York or Las Vegas?
Wall Street.
Wall Street. Okay, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, just Wall Street. Yeah. That's it. But no, that's no true words spoken. Listen, this if you have any kind of if you really want out of the system, this is it. And if you're already in the infinite banking system, you're doing a disservice to your family and to your friends by not sharing Nelson's book with them. At the very least, you could give it to them at Christmas or on their birthdays. That's the perfect time to do it. And then if they bite, great. If they don't, that's their choosing. But oh my gosh, birthdays are a great time to give books out, and you can change their life. I mean, this is dynasty estate planning. I mean, you're changing your life and your family's life for generations. That's the bottom line.
Well, what have you, if you're willing to share, and you don't have to, but what have you done with your banking policies? Can I ask?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first thing that we did back in the day was we thought, well, let's see if this really works, because we were still trying to figure this out, right? Let's see if this really works. So we call up we had a storage unit. We call up the owner and we go, Mr. Storage Unit, dude, if we pay for a year in advance, could we pay for 11 months instead of 12? And he goes, well, yeah, that sounds good. We go, it works. So call up the insurance company, cut them a check. And I'm just saying this, lightly, but that's where we started with this whole thing. And then
you're just seeing if it works.
Yeah, I mean, when you're green and you don't, you don't have somebody who is equipped to really, educate you. This guy is the guy that can really educate you. So when I say that, it's all due respect, honest to goodness, A to Z, and then some. But the next thing we did was buy a car. But let's do that, and then let's buy another one. And
was it when you went in to buy the car, and I'm just assuming you're writing a check.
Oh yeah, I just wrote a check.
Did the salesman bat an eye at that, or because it didn't happen every day that week?
No,
of that salesman's life.
Yeah, you do that, but no, it was no. I don't recall it being like a dynamic event for them, but it was for us. It was well, we just used some of our infinite banking policy to go buy this car, but it's also still working and growing inside the policy. How does that work? I'm like,
collateralization, right?
Figure that out. It was great, and then we bought a house with one. Or two, and that was like amazing.
Did that at closing? Did that?
No, they didn't. They kind of they always want to know where you're getting your money from, right? And so we tell them
business.
Yeah, right. And most recently we moved to Tennessee in the last year. And we used a policy for that house, and that was kind of fun. The banker, honest to goodness, the banker never did figure out what. They go, what? Yeah. And I go, yeah, that's okay. But anyway, you have the cash. Yes. So I have the cash, and we're good to go. And boom. Yeah. So yeah. We have over the years, where a mortgage underwriter wants a statement from the life insurance company that loan values don't have to be repaid. Yeah.
No. And the life insurance company will write that. We don't write them, right? The life insurance companies, they'll write that. The loan is always repaid from the life insurance. Always. Either you're going to pay for it, or you're going to surrender the policy, and it's 100% collateralized by the cash value, or you're going to graduate.
Or by the death benefit.
Yeah, on graduation.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
And then, then there's a net death benefit. So, but it's interesting. The mortgage lenders, the underwriters, the mortgage underwriters, they have no idea, and how would they know anything about the infinite banking concept?
And they don't. No. And most Wall Street doesn't know anything about it.
The ones that do know about it are doing it.
Yes.
Let me tell you, some of those people you watch on TV,
They're doing it.
They are.
Yep. I'd say a lot of the Fortune 500 high-end people are doing it through Boley and Coley and some other things. They may not be using it the way we tell them to, but
wait a minute. You mean Warren Buffett, who owns Swiss Re and the reinsurance companies, they're not banking? They're not buying with Geico and the Lizard and all this?
What do you think the odds are?
Nah.
Oh, my gosh.
I've talked to bankers over the years and, just helping them. Well, you think you're helping them. You try to help them, expand their knowledge.
Yep.
Right. I mean, you have some of these like direct recognition companies that, are charging 8% on the loan anyway and then reducing the loan. I'm not disparaging them. You can bank with anything. This dividend paying mutual life insurance is the best thing to bank with. But these companies have educated their agents over the years, 4 years. Teach your clients how to take the policy down to the bank and collateralize the policy to get a loan at a lesser interest rate, then you get a full dividend. So it's nothing new. The infinite banking world didn't come up with this idea, go get a HELOC or go get a loan or whatever, collateralize your line of credit with a policy. It's not new in the infinite banking world. It has preceded it. Okay. The banker is, they're just gophers, right?
It's Nelson's favorite word, or one of them, I would say.
Yeah. And they're selling loans.
Yeah.
Right. So if they're aware that there are people that have these, direct recognition life insurance policies with high interest rates when they borrow money against the policy, the high policy loan rate, right? The banker might could get more business.
Yep.
All right. So when you go down that process and you just show a banker or anybody, even a mortgage lender, it doesn't matter anyway, but bankers are no different. Here's my point, that it's like, this is what can be done with a life insurance policy. And it's just like,
like a nuclear bomb going off.
It is. It's quite rewarding, when the lights go off, not to, overload somebody's donkey. I'm not talking about that, but when the light goes off with people,
it's a pleasure to be there too when that goes.
Yeah.
And you get to see them. You're like, wow, we just changed not one person's life, but many.
Yeah.
Many. Yeah. It's
so what else do you do with a couple of homes? So y'all are like real estate moguls.
No, not anymore.
Not anymore. They cashed out.
Yes.
Did you sell high and buy low?
Well, I'll just share this little thing with you really quick. Just before the 2008 crash, we went to a financial conference in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And on the drive home, there were some pretty big wheels there. And on the drive home, I looked at Michelle and I go, I think we need to liquidate everything, because they were forecasting something happening in the next 6 to 18 months. So that's what we did. And we went right through that thing. From that perspective, like it was just a little speed bump. That was another blessing.
Hey, look back and you're a genius, huh?
It's not me. I had nothing to do with that other than just follow somebody who I really trusted, right? And, you just hook your cart up to the right horse and things happen. So, yeah.
What have y'all done since then? Do you still fly?
No.
Personally?
No. Well, I went flying last weekend with a friend of mine, but that was it. Just a little airplane. But no, I don't fly at all. I thought about doing it, but I don't know. We're pretty busy right now with life, and I've got a practitioner practice too, but and my son has just got out of high school, so he's we're starting the next phase of our life, and it's kind of fun actually. So we'll see where it all goes. But So that's where we're at. I have the opportunity to come hang out with the Eagles every once in a while. So here we are, baby.
Well, tell Jack we said hello.
I will. And we're looking forward to seeing you here in another 6 weeks or so. I'm going to go do another hunt.
That's right. I'm ready to go. I'm loaded, ready.
But thanks for the opportunity to be here.
Yeah. No, thank you for coming, Paul. Really, I really appreciate you taking your time and sitting down and chatting.
It was great. I love you, man. I love your family, and I really love your son, Jake. He's just he's an awesome guy.
We love y'all too. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Banking with Life podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe and click on that little notification bell. Otherwise, join us on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher for weekly content.